DJ Cannon from Seton Hill University, here with Figure It Out Baseball. If you haven't checked out the previous videos, this is the fourth one in the series. First video addressed just basic mechanics developing for a young pitcher. The second video troubleshooted some issues with a balance position. The third video incorporated some lower half mechanics, trying to get a little bit more out of the lower body. And this will kind of bring it all together, putting a full delivery in place. Just to kind of briefly summarize, young pitchers, I think it's best to get them in the stretch position. That way it takes out a lot of potential flaws to their delivery. This will allow them to be athletic and move efficiently towards their target. So if they can get into this squared stance position as if they're pitching from the stretch, feet shoulder width apart, they can be athletic, a little bit of bend in their knees, get to a balanced position here, get into a good stride position with their feet in a straight line here, turn to their target and finish square to their target that way. To make sure that they're throwing a lot of strikes when they get to that balanced position, I don't think it's important how high their leg kick gets to their balance point. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. Whatever suits that pitcher the best, whatever they're able to control the best, is how high that leg kick should be. I do think if they're able to get it to at least waist height, that'll give them a good chance to create some momentum while still having control of their body. So I think that's a good gauge to shoot for. Not definite by any means, but something that will allow them to have a lot of success. But now when they start their stride towards the plate, we want to make sure that this foot stays flat on the ground for as long as possible. This shin on this back leg stays upright as long as possible so that they can get into a good stance here. And if that knee can stay over their back toes with a shin that's as tall as possible, that means their weight is pretty good in the middle of their body or a little bit on the back side. If they're able to keep that foot squared on the ground through that part of their delivery, that's going to give them a good chance to have a stride that is in line from their back toe to their front toe. Once they start to kind of wobble on that back leg at their balance point, that's where they start to either open up that stride or land a little bit closed. Especially if they come up onto their toe at that balance point, that's where you see guys really start to fall and close off their stance, close off their stride, so that they struggle to get towards that catcher. So from that balance point, if they can stride that knee over their toes, weight middle of their body, now they can create rotation from this hip. They can turn, face that target, and explode through that finish. Very similar to the drills that we addressed in the last video with the rock and roll drill. So now if that weight's on that backside, they can be explosive, athletic, and get to that target efficiently. So when I'm going through my delivery, again, if I'm able to get to a good balanced position with my foot flat on the ground for as long as possible into my stride, I get into a nice straight line. I think as you're going through some drill work and teaching young pitchers, it's always good to use lines. Whether if you're on a baseball field, there's always a foul line that you can use. If you're in a gymnasium or a different sport practice field, there's always some sort of line that will allow them to get a visual of where their stride is, whether or not they're able to stride in line with their target. So if I'm doing that, I'm at my set position, up to balance, land square, I can come through and throw, keeping everything in a straight line. So ideally it can look something similar to this. And now as I come through that finish, I can see that everything's squared towards my target. I got my hips all the way through, my shoulders all the way through. I'm in control of my body where I'm not falling away from my target. That'll allow that pitcher to be around the plate a little bit more consistently rather than pulling one way or another, throwing pitches kind of wild in the zone and struggling to keep throwing strikes and keep the game moving. I'll go through one more example here, going through the delivery, keeping everything in a straight line, looking like this. Come to balance, staying on line with my target, staying in control of my body. Again, this is DJ Cannon with Seton Hill University, here with Figure It Out Baseball. Don't forget to check out my next video. I'll be going over some mobility drills that will help pitchers warm up to get ready to throw, as well as keeping them healthy, making sure their body's moving properly so that they can repeat their deliveries.